All right, let's dive into an incredibly tangled legal battle. We're talking about government agencies, private investors, and two brothers who say they're fighting for their lives. This isn't your average lawsuit, folks. It's a massive saga with some truly wild claims right at the center of it all.
Now, you might think this is a line straight out of a movie, but it's not. This is a real command from a real federal court sent to the United States Marshals Service. It's telling them to go into properties, by force if they have to, kick everyone out, and seize everything. That's the kind of raw power we're talking about here.
And then there's this number, $20 million. That is what's at the heart of this. It's the amount two brothers, Keith and Paul Hartl, are demanding from a whole network of people they accuse of systematically wrecking their lives and trying to steal everything they own.
So you have to ask, right? How on earth does a property dispute blow up into a federal seizure order and a $20 million demand? Well, according to the Hartl brothers, the answer is simple, and it's their core claim. What happened to them wasn't just bad luck. It was a coordinated attack by a criminal enterprise.
Okay, so let's get into it. Section 1, the alleged enterprise. The Hartl's entire case, everything, is built on this one idea, that they were specifically targeted, not by random events, but by a huge interconnected conspiracy with just one goal in mind, to take their property.
Now, there's a fancy legal term for this kind of thing. It's called an association in fact enterprise. This is a really key concept in RICO law. Basically, what it means is you don't need a formal company, with a CEO and a letterhead to be a criminal enterprise. All you need is a group of people and businesses working together towards the same illegal goal.
And just look at the scope of who they're accusing. I mean, it is staggering. The Hartls aren't just suing one guy. They're pointing the finger at a whole network that they claim involves government actors from the city and the county, private investors, shell companies, title agencies, and even law firms. They're alleging this conspiracy cuts across both the public and the private sectors.
So that brings us to Section 2, a decades-long attack. And get this wasn't something that just happened last year. The lawsuit claims this has been a 33-year plot. They argue that a long pattern of injustice is what really set the stage for all of this. The plaintiffs say this all goes back decades, and for them, it is deeply personal. They claim the foundational act happened when the justice system failed to prosecute the man who molested Keith Hartl when he was a child. In their minds, that initial failure basically told the world that they were easy targets, that the law wouldn't protect them. And from there, they say the attacks just escalated. In 2018, their water gets shut off. By 2025, they're talking about arson, stolen medical records, and fraud, all leading up to their court cases getting dismissed in ways they believe were totally rigged.
And let's be clear, these are not minor complaints. The lawsuit reads like a laundry list of serious federal crimes. We're talking about mail fraud for sending bogus water bills, extortion by threatening foreclosure, even witness tampering by stealing health records, and money laundering by turning the properties they allegedly stole into rental income.
So to back up their claim that this is a pattern, the Hartls started digging. They point to other sources like this one. ENG Properties, one of the defendants, has a bunch of complaints against it on the Better Business Bureau website. In this one, someone says that after an in-person inspection was totally fine, a bunch of extra charges just magically appeared later.
And it's not a one-off. Here's another example they cite. A former tenant says their house was filthy when they moved in, even though they were charged a cleaning fee, and that nobody ever even wrote down their complaints. The Hartzler argument is, see, the way we were treated isn't special. This is just how these guys do business.
All right, Section 3. So, with all of this seemingly stacked against them, how in the world are the Hartl brothers fighting back? Well, they decided to pull out one of the biggest weapons in American civil law.
So what is this legal weapon they've decided to use? It's a civil RICO lawsuit. And yeah, if that term sounds familiar, it's probably because you've heard it in movies about the mob. But it turns out private citizens can use it too.
So the RICO Act is an absolute powerhouse. It was originally designed to take down criminal organizations by hitting them right where it hurts, their bank accounts. For someone suing, it's a total game changer, because if you can prove you were harmed by a criminal enterprise, you can sue for something called treble damages. That's 3 times your actual losses plus your attorney's fees. It basically turns victims into their own private attorneys general.
And this right here, this is fascinating because it's taken directly from their own case planning documents. It shows you this isn't some random shot in the dark. It is a carefully planned, multi-front war. They're fighting in federal court and state court. They're filing complaints with regulators. They're locking down evidence. And they're even planning a media strategy.
Which brings us to our final section, demanding systemic change. Because this is the real endgame. As huge as that $20 million number is for the plaintiffs, this is about way more than money. They want to change the very system they believe came after them.
For them, this has become a fight for something much bigger than just themselves. They're trying to turn their personal nightmare into a way to protect other people in the future.
I mean, just look at this checklist. Again, this is from their own strategy docs. It shows their true ambition. They're not just looking for a payout. They're aiming for new regulations, policy changes in their city, new standards for the entire real estate industry, and a legal precedent that can help other people. They're trying to turn their personal fight into a victory for the public good.
Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. The Hartl case is this extraordinary story of two regular guys taking on a system they are convinced is corrupt. And whether they win or lose, their fight brings up a huge question about our legal system. Can a single lawsuit, armed with a powerful law like RICO, actually force an entire system to change? That, right there, is the $20 million question.